Good evening. This is Clarence Williams with another edition of Now and Then. I want to talk today about a subject: enough is enough. Enough is enough. Someone has the responsibility of saying to any person in the United States of America, enough is enough. We have a system set in place that the judicial system can say at any time to any citizen or to any person in the United States of America, enough is enough, is enough. We also have a system set up as far as our world order is concerned, that we can go to another country and we can address that country and say enough is enough, even though we may not be able to go into their government and set up laws and rules or what have you. We can still influence them by saying enough is enough. And in the past, we have did that. In some cases, it has gotten us into war, but most of the time, just our influence as America, as the United States of America, we can say to a country, enough is enough. They may not totally stop doing what we are objecting to, but they are curtailing it. Our influence can get them most times to change their direction, to change their mind as to what they were doing. That's the influence of America. But in our own country, the question is, who has the responsibility to say enough is enough to any citizen or to anyone that is on our grounds called the United States of America? We know our law enforcement. We enforce the laws by having law enforcement, and the law can come at any time and take a person and then, put that person incarcerated or what have you. But that person still have to have their due process of law in order to sentence them one way or the other. But we do have the law enforcement that can come to anyone's home. Naturally, there's a process and say enough is enough. We don't really have a question about that. We have some concerns as to the correct enforcement of law. Just in Memphis, Tennessee, Tyreek Nichols, the three that law enforcement that was on trial. The courts come and a jury said not guilty. And so we have some concerns about that, but it doesn't change the fact that we do have a system that has the responsibility of saying enough is enough. Now, I'm going through this to show you that when we get to the presidency, we still have that system of government that will even say to the president, enough is enough. And so the question is not whether we have a system of responsibility. The question is whether we have those that have the responsibility, do they have the courage to say to the president, enough is enough? And so I'm going to just go down this list and show you where the buck actually stops. I know the buck stops at the president. That's true in a sense, but I'm going to show you another place where the buck stops. And if the ones that have that final say does not exercise their rights for the sake of good of America, then there is no system. It is now lawlessness. Let's go through it and see. Number one, we have the executive branch. The executive branch is consists of the president and his or her cabinet members, associated also with all the lawyers that advise the president one way or the other as concerning the constitutional law. But now, when the president, him or her, need to be corrected, or need to be stopped, or need to be cautioned, where does that responsibility lie? Well, the president, he elects or she elects their cabinet members and confirmed by the Senate. And then those cabinet members take all of those different responsibilities in that cabinet. Well, if it's concerning a particular cabinet, concerning maybe foreign government or security or education or defense or whatever it is, that particular cabinet member, even though he has or she has been elected, appointed by the president, and confirmed by the Senate, still has or should have the responsibility of carrying out his or her roles according to the Constitution. And that's what uh, warns off the president if the president is making a decision that is against the Constitution. It's the cabinet members that then should step up because they have that responsibility and say, no, Mr. President, Mrs. President, one way or the other, that cannot go because this is against the Constitution of the United States of America. But now, if they don't have the courage to do it, so we're not talking about responsibility, we're talking about courage. So I'm showing you who has the responsibility to do it and who should have the courage to do it. So if the cabinet members turn and say, well, we have the responsibility, but we don't have the courage because we don't want, the blowback. And so we see it, we know that it's wrong, but we do not have the courage. We were not selected for courage. We were selected to go along with the process. And if for some reason we stand with courage, then we're going to be asked to resign from our position. And so we know why we're there. So now, if you don't have the cabinet to do it, now who else? Then you have Congress. Congress should step up, whether it's Republican Congress or Democrat Congress. All have taken the pledge or the oath to the Constitution, not the president. So if the president is doing something that is against the Constitution, then the cabinet, the Congress should step up. The Senate should step up and say, no, this is wrong. And we're not going to go along with that. Or the House of Representatives should step up and say, no, we are not going to go along with that. Now, in our president's daytime, we have a Republican president, we have a Republican majority House, and we have a Republican majority Senate. Now, even though they may have the majority, they still have the responsibility to step up and say, no, that's not right. But if neither the House nor the Senate have the responsibility or have the right or the courage to step up and say that's wrong, because maybe they don't want to be primary the next now November 2026. They're going to be primary if they take a stand against the president. And so now they are trying to just, lower their heads, keep a low profile, and just try to get through. Just try to get through it. Hopefully, they can retain their seat during uh, our midterm election in November of 2026. But now the president and the policies that he is enacting, or should I say, the resolutions that he is enacting, emergency resolutions, he's not concerned about them being reelected. He's concerned about him getting his agenda done. And as a result of that, maybe only 5 laws have been passed with over 142, 45 uh, emergency resolutions have been passed. So he is really bypassing Congress in order to get his work done. He's not even going to them. And they see this and they understand this, but they are not saying one word, not because they don't have the responsibility, but because they don't have the courage. Even uh, the law that he came up and enacted to import all of these migrants, he does not have the right to do that, but Congress are too afraid to say anything. He does not have the right to enact tariffs. The Congress are too afraid to say anything. And so all of those misguided laws, foreign laws, and old laws that he's pulling in to do what he is doing, Congress could easily step up and say, no, this is not right. I think the House just voted 50 to 50 to shoot down his tariffs and said he does not have the right to do that. But then you had that vice president step in with that deciding vote, and the measure failed. So Congress has the right, House of Representatives and Senate. But if they don't say anything, they just keep their head down and just go along. No one is going to challenge it. Now you have the judicial branch. Well, the judicial branch, along with Congress, because remember, back in Congress, he was being impeached through the Senate, and they said no. They don't see any reason why he should be impeached, along with all of the other lawsuits that was going on. Congress, House of Representatives, and the Senate was fighting the Democrats against it. Now you have the president, and you still won't stand up. Now, judicial, starting with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said he has humidity. He is immune from all of these acts that he was doing if it is proven that it was a part of his presidential authority to do. Yeah, he was just exercising his authority to do this stuff. Now, that gave him a great deal of power to do whatever he's doing. Now, all he had to do was get back in to the presidency. With all of this immunity now, he can do anything he wanted to do. And no one really is going to challenge him because the Supreme Court has already segregated themselves to him. Now they see Chief Justice Roberts come up and says that the judicial branch is independent. Why did he have to say that? Because Trump has been challenging all of these judges that have been blocking him. So at this point, the only system in our Constitution that is standing up and saying enough is enough is the judicial system. The only one. Congress is not doing it. Senate is not doing it. House is not doing it. Cabinets are not doing it. But the judicial system, the judges saying that it is not right, it's unconstitutional for you to do it, and they are blocking. Well, the reason why they can block it is because the people are filing lawsuits, and they are going to these lawyers and file lawsuits against all of these uh, practices that the president is doing, and the judges is siding with the people, saying that no, this is unconstitutional. You cannot do it. Even the Supreme Court, when they was talking about Garcia coming back from El Salvador, the Supreme Court says that the president has to facilitate the return of Garcia to the United States. And then the president and his people are playing with that word facilitate. Well, they said facilitate. And to this point, they still have not facilitated it. And what have the Supreme Court did? Nothing. Now they said yes, you need to facilitate it, but they haven't did anything. And the question, what can they do? If the president does not adhere to their law, when the Supreme Court make a ruling, that becomes law. But if the president does not adhere to that, what can they do? Well, that's a question that's still to be seen. Now they come up, he want to send them to another country. And the Supreme Court says, no, you cannot do it without due process. Libya. Yeah, now you want to send people to Libya. The Supreme Court comes up and say you cannot do it without due process. These people that you're talking about sending to foreign countries has to have due process before you send them. Did not say you can't send them. Says you cannot send them without due process. That's what the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court is also agreeing with the federal court. And then also under the Supreme Court, federal court, you also have local court. So the judicial system is speaking up and saying you cannot do it. But then even if the Supreme Court does not have any positive influence on the decisions of the presidency, the last one that has the power, and this is supreme power. This is power above the Supreme Court, and that's the people. Power to the people. The people of the United States has the power to say yes or no to any decision that the president is making. Now, you say that by voting. So he can make all kinds of decisions. He can make all kinds of decisions if they are favorable, if you like them, if you agree, if you say that they're doing a good job. The next time a midterm election come up, anyone that is that is agreeing with the president and you disagree, vote them out. That's simple. Now, what just happened in Florida, they were having town hall meetings, and Republicans are in town hall meetings complaining about what the president is doing, and the president is telling them, you have two decisions to make. in Florida, and I need both of these candidates to help me do what I am doing. You are in town hall meetings arguing about what he's doing, but then you are still sending him two more people to do what you are arguing about him doing. That does not make sense. So, in order for the people to say enough is enough, you have to not only say it with your mouth, but you have to vote it. And you may not have ever voted uh, Democrat, but you need to vote Democrat now. If you are disagreeing with what the president is saying. Now, midterm is going to come up November 2026. That's next year. And many of these people that want to be reelected, I'm talking about Republicans, that want to be reelected is going to come up and they're going to campaign about uh, this and that, about how they are standing for the American people and for their citizens and for their parishioners that are voting for them. And many people are going to believe that, regardless of what they see they are voted on or their voting record. They're going to listen to what people are saying and get hoodwinked again. And the Republicans going to keep the House and keep the Senate because people are going to be voting with their heart. They cannot see themselves voting for a Democrat. When President Biden was in the presidency, everything was wrong. He was too old. Prices of everything was too high. And you voted on President Trump to come in. It's going to stop everything and lower the cost on the first day. He was going to get rid of all the walls on the first day. The walls are still going on. Prices are still going high. And I don't see not one person standing up talking about uh, President Trump didn't do what he said he's going to do. You hear interview after interview, and people still saying they're going to give him a chance. Well, he said that, so we're going to give him a chance. 100 days plus, and you're still giving him a chance. Last phrase. Let me talk about enough is enough when it comes to the tariffs and the other countries. The other countries, in my opinion, are going to bow down to President Trump, just like the United Kingdom did. They got a worse deal. Now, hear them talk, but they say, we are better off now than we were yesterday. But we are worse off now than we were a year ago. What that is saying is that you just signed a tariff deal through negotiation with Donald Trump, and you have given him the upper hand on all of your economic commodities. The farmers are hurting because cattle are going into the United Kingdom, but that's it. Grain is going into United Kingdom, but that's it. And you still have a 10% tariff on all of the stuff that is coming out of the United Kingdom going into the United States of America. Where's the good deal? It's one-sided. And all of these other countries need to take note because all of their deals is going to favor the United States of America. That's what Trump said he wanted. He didn't say he want to make it fair with you. He said he want to even the playing field. When the Prime Minister or President of Canada came and a reporter asked Trump, is there anything that Carney could say that is going to cause you to lower the tariffs on Canada. President Trump said no, nothing. So why is the president of Canada, prime minister of Canada, why is he sitting there? If Trump is telling him there is nothing you can say that's going to cause me to lower the tariffs on you, now he should take advantage or take a note of what Trump just did with Great Britain, because Great Britain still have 10% tariffs. Yes, some are lowered, but that's on only the things that Trump want to deal with. The rest of it is still 10%. Who's going to say enough is enough? Not only are the people of the United States going to say it, because Congress is not going to say it, the cabinet is not going to say it. Thank God for the judicial system finally saying something, but also foreign countries need to say enough is enough. Now that's going to hurt them, but I'd rather stand on my feet than stand on my knees. This is Clarence Williams, and this is it now and then. Have yourself a great day.